And welcome to the Terrence and Roy Show.
Yeah, welcome to the Terrence and Roy at the Movie Show. Guess where we just were? We were at the movies. Twist ending. We saw Transformers the last night.
Greatest movie of this year.
During the movie, I was kind of debating whether or not I was going to be able to say this, and at the end of the movie, I figured out I was able to say this. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. One of them. Not the worst. I will say this. The worst movie I've ever seen that people actually, clapped at the end, more than a few people at the end in the theater actually clapped. Definitely the worst movie I've ever seen where that's happened.
Well, in defense of the movie, I think the clapping was just because...
It was over?
No, the average age had to be 8 years old. You had a lot of families there. It's Transformer.
There were some, but there were there were some middle-aged people there too. There were quite a few middle-aged people there actually, but it seemed like they were middle-aged people who maybe go to the movies once or twice a year, so they don't actually know what is or isn't a good movie.
Yeah. So let's so Roy, what was your thoughts
Well, right from the beginning, they established immediately the pattern of the movie, the general tone of the movie, which is we're going to try to be dramatic, but before we can figure out whether or not the drama is effective, we're going to completely tonally change to comedy, which would be hard to pull off to begin with, but the comedy is horribly, horribly unfunny, which shouldn't be surprising because the comedy's always been horribly, horribly unfunny in all the Transformers movies, for the most part. So, mine's maybe a little bit of the first one was funnier, but
yeah. So
that's basically the whole pace of the movie is this is incredibly dramatic. Let's ruin it with a joke.
Honestly, I'm going to take it in a completely different direction. This movie just started off bad. It was confusing. At some points, I'm trying to piece it together. It was trying to go back to other movies. And then it was trying to show the different Transformers. Battles I don't even fully remember even being had.
The vast majority of the Transformers who were in the movie weren't even recognizable for the most part. And even ones that were... Are we going to go into spoilers for this at all? Or
yes.
We're gonna
for this movie...
We can't avoid that for this.
For this movie, we can't avoid it. And to be completely honest, I'm going to help you save your $5 to $10 to $15 so you don't have to go spend it. You can get the general gist of the movie.
We'll tell you the movie right now. You don't have to go see it.
You're welcome.
There are a couple things in there that I know source material isn't really important anymore, but... So there were a couple, one or two things in there that were just flat out wrong for the source material, kind of almost to the point of insultingly wrong. Yeah. If you were a fan of Transformers.
So a couple things I want to go into. Where are they getting the car selection from? Some of the cars are really nice, but now they're starting to go into left wing and it seemed like you're watching forced advertisement.
Oh, I was gonna say, where do they get the cars from? They get the cars from whoever pays them the most, pretty much.
It was just forced advertisement. At one point, that Bud Light.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It bothered me so much to the core.
He asks for a beer, and the thing brings him a beer, and then it's just Bud Light at your face. The beer comes.
And then
oh god,
even the character, they have Bumblebee. You care about Bumblebee. And
yeah.
You care about some of the characters, but oh man, Mark Wahlberg, you just look tired, and
this is the problem that I've had a lot. There's a thing about suspension of disbelief and humans being able to do things humans normally shouldn't be able to do. It never used to bother me. Jurassic Park, Independence Day, humans probably shouldn't have been able to survive those scenarios realistically. I don't care. Those movies were great. They had great suspension of disbelief. Mm-hmm. And then even the first Transformers or something like that. And King Kong earlier this year, I thought John C. Reilly was going to be terrible because I thought he wasn't going to fit in at all. He ended up being the best part of the movie. But this confirms my pet peeve and all my beliefs. It was there's basically full-out Transformers war type scenarios. There should have been no humans in this movie.
I wasn't against having humans in the movie. The humans could be the lovable, realistic part of the movie. I couldn't imagine humans not being in the movie. but you can make them realistic. At some point, it was just confusing because it's like, okay, is the humans against, are they against Optimus Prime and all the Autobots, or are they completely for them? They switch sides. It's just like,
well, that's the other thing. Veering into this point, it's just like, from a writing perspective, this movie does so many things wrong. There's all the like show don't tell stuff, which is part of why you were confused, because they were like telling you so much information, and it was so sloppy the way they were doing it. The dialogue in the movie was horrible for everything, for the exposition, for the comedy, it was all horrible. But specifically for character motivations, things like that, you could pick any point in the movie, and you go to yourself, why is the character doing this? There's no good answer. There's no good answer at any point for why anybody's doing anything.
Oh well. They spent the first 10 minutes trying to set up the movie, which just completely missed the mark. Like, the first minute of the movie, I was like, man, this is so cheesy. I'll literally in the first minute, go see the movie. First minute. If you don't think the movie is cheesy, to comment below and explain that to me.
Well, this is the thing.
It was just like,
I hoped it was going to be cheesy in a good way. I hoped it was going to be like kids' playset cheesy. Like, we take these two things that were awesome and we put them together, and it just didn't really work that way.
The first battle scene, I was just thinking, please, Games of Thrones, come back, and somebody actually show them how to have a battle scene.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the problem. A lot of people, like, I've had a lot of problems with, like, me rating movies low and people being like, well, you should just take it as, like, a mindless, fun action movie and things like that. A lot of times when people say that to me, the action's not good. A lot of people said that to me about Man of Steel, which has its own set of problems. People are like, oh, isn't the action in Man of Steel great? I'm like, no, the action in Man of Steel isn't great. The action in Man of Steel is terrible. The action in this is mostly fine, ish. It's not nearly as good as the action in even, like, Transformers 2 or Transformers 3 or...
So the action's fine. It's a typical Michael Bay movie. Things are getting blown up. That's not the issue. One, it just seemed cheesy. At certain points, I found myself quoting Independence Day.
No, I was totally with you too.
And we don't ever agree, but we're on the same brain link. Two, it force-fed characters that had no business being in there.
There were so many characters in this movie. They did the exact opposite of what I wanted. Like, if you had like one or two really main good human characters, that'd probably be fine. Something like that. You can do it. But they're like, no. If for every Transformer, there's at least one, maybe two human characters.
So like the human characters, especially the girl, and it just made absolutely no sense.
Oh yeah, the young girl being there,
it didn't make God. Cut her completely out.
She didn't make any sense at all. As soon as she showed up, I was like, this is so random.
I didn't understand the role, and like she's like 14 years old. How is she surviving in this world? I would have shot her just because she's annoying.
Yeah.
3.
Well, I'll tell you how she's surviving in this world first. Just an interruption. I realized something the Transformers have in this. They have Batman mode on, where like the Batmobile will mow down some people, and Robin will be like, Batman, didn't the Batmobile just mow down some people? And Batman will be like, oh, Robin, well, the Batman has the bumper technology, so actually the rubber bumpers just bumped the people out of the way and they were fine. That's kind of what this whole movie was like. It was like, people shoot at Transformers, good or bad or whatever, even the Transformers will be like, I shoot back at you to prove I'm superior, but I do it specifically about 6 inches away from you, where it'll terrify you, but everyone in the scene will be perfectly fine. It's the middle of a war with robots. I don't think anybody, I'm not expecting the movie to be graphic or anything, or be like a full-on war movie, but nobody in the movie, almost nobody in the movie dies, at all. They all get out perfectly, nobody gets injured, they're all like, oh, thank God that blast was 6 inches away from me.
Even more than that, 3, the jokes were just badly timed curse words. Whoever did the writing there,
that's exactly
grow up a little bit, because it was just badly timed curse words.
There's this thing coming back where people think that swearing by itself is funny. Just because you swore, you don't have to put it in any context. Swearing can be funny when you put it in the right context. You do the right stuff with it. It can be funny. It can be iconic. It can be great. In certain, Bruce Willis and Die Hard, yippee-ki-yay. But swearing, just people tend to think like, well, if to say something raunchy or say something naughty here, that'll be funny.
I think they just, honestly, because they lacked violence, I think they just swore a couple times to get it up to the PG-13 rating.
Probably, yeah.
They did, like, they didn't want it to be PG, so let's throw in a couple F-bombs to actually get it up to the rating we want it to be.
I was gonna say, literally, like, the action is so, like, just, watered down. It's so watered down that it, like, the action itself probably could have gotten a PG rating.
No, it definitely could have. Because it was like force-fed. The characters that you did care about in the past have no point to them at all. It was just like the one CIA guy was down in Cuba. I'm just like,
yeah,
why?
I thought he was kind of funny. He was completely pointless. And the first couple times he showed up, he wasn't funny. But towards the end, I thought, you got.
And Anthony Hopkins, what are you doing? Why bring yourself down to this? Why?
We learned recently that Anthony Hopkins loves defending robots. That's what he loves to do with his life. So that's why he's there.
Well,
but he had some. His character was a great example of what I was talking about. Where his character would say something really, really like profound or dramatic, and it'd be in the Anthony Hopkins voice. So even if it was a stupid line, you'd be kind of bought in. And then they just do a stupid joke and completely ruin it.
So this is my thought. This movie has all the correct elements to be an awesome movie, just executed really, really poorly. And it seems like Transformers had just lost all ability to execute since the first movie.
Yeah, that's one series that actually has been getting progressively worse and worse. For the most part. Some people would argue that 3 is better than 2, but other than that, 4 and 5 are both.
I don't mind. 3 was good. But like...
This is the thing about 3. 3 had a lot of the bad stuff about Transformers, but it arguably had some of the best action in the series, which helped, because it could kind of be like tongue-in-cheek, like, oh, we're going to have fun. It's going to be a fun action movie. But
the graphics were there. The money was there. The actors were there.
Yeah, everything was...
all the pieces for a good movie was there.
Well, with the exception of the writing. The writing was not even close. Whoever wrote the movie should be ashamed of themselves.
Or it just all felt very forced. The girl lead who needs to ultimately save the day.
They just forced her in too. That was so weird. I mean, I guess she had a point in the end, kind of, but like the way they started to bring her in,
it was very awkward sexual tension that they were trying.
They were trying to force the relationship between her and Mark Wahlberg so hard, and it clearly didn't make any sense.
No.
It was bad.
Like, I feel like that's beginner writing skills.
Oh my god. This is the thing, like, as far as, like, a filmmaking perspective goes, like, I come kind of from a writing perspective as, like, a writer. The writing in this movie was awful. Like, the directing, I didn't even really notice that much about it. The thing about the directing was classic Michael Bay, directing. So that means that it could be good or it could be bad depending on how the rest of the movie is around it.
Yep.
And the rest of the movie around it was awful.
So, what's your rating for this movie, Roy?
Well, this one thing that we did discuss ahead of time. I gave it a rating of a 2 out of 10, and I believe that you gave it a
2 out of 10.
2 out of 10, yes. So 2 out of 10s from us. Don't even bother wasting the money. Awful movie. Just
if you're gonna bother wasting the money, please, because honestly, you look at the movies coming out, I don't know what...
Buy your advance tickets for Spider-Man. There's a ton of movies coming out. Buy advance tickets for The Dark Tower. Do something, huh?
Well, if you do go see it, this is what I'm saying. Like our YouTube page if you agree. Thumbs down if you disagree. Put in a comment why.
This is the thing. So many people were so happy after the movie. They were all clapping. The people who were walked down behind us who were leaving the theater were like, it was so good. And I was like, did we watch a different movie? So if you really enjoyed it, tell me why. I want to know. I'm curious what you saw that I didn't see. I really am.
Honestly, like, if you end up enjoying that movie, it's not a bad movie. It's Michael Bay. Things get blown up. But
no, it is a bad movie. It's a really bad movie. Like, Transformers 2 isn't necessarily a bad movie. It has a lot of flaws, but it's not really a bad movie. 4 and 5 are really, really bad movies.
Yeah, it is a bad movie.
Yeah.
But it's a movie worth seeing. We've seen it, but
we didn't walk out of it. We only almost walked out of it at a particular point. So, and I think roughly the same point, you and I would have agreed. We would have looked at each other and been like, yeah, no.
At moments, this is what you do. It's not quite there yet. It's not quite to the legendary status. But at moments, I almost thought Punisher Warzone.
Oh my god.
I almost thought Punisher Warzone. Where there was moments where I was laughing that hard at this movie because they missed the mark that bad.
I totally see what you're saying. Punisher Warzone, full disclaimer, Punisher Warzone, worse movie than this, but...
I still can't contain my laughter anytime I think of Punisher Warzone. But I can count at least 5 or 6 times I looked over to Rory like, are you watching the same movie I'm watching?
And I was like, apparently we're the only 2 people in this theater watching that movie. Because everybody else seems to be enjoying it. So, I don't know. See it if you want. I mean, it's got giant robots still. You know, Optimus Prime's there at some point.
Things get blown up.
Things do get blown up.
The graphics are pretty damn good.
Oh, the robots
Anthony Hopkins does his voice and storytelling. So let me ask you, who's better, Morgan Freeman or Anthony Hopkins when telling a story?
It depends what story. I'm inclined to say Anthony Hopkins. Purely because of like the English thing he's got going on, kind of. But
see, I can't. No, I like Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman for the sci-fi things. Anthony Hopkins for like the old time, olden day stuff.
I totally I feel the same way, but flipped. Where I'm like, I totally like Anthony Hopkins narrating all the sci-fi stuff, and Morgan Freeman, like partially because the Disney World Hall of Presidents, Morgan Freeman narrates that, and that's awesome. So.
War of Worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I don't really care about that, though. It was alright.
He just broke my heart.
Yeah.
Until next time, guys.
Yeah, tell us what you think.
Comment. See you guys later. Bye.